Stop chasing. It's Marcel, aka Honey Bunny Sunny, and you know I'm on a mission to make you some money. Listen, if it's your first time on the channel, welcome. Okay, go ahead and hit that like button and that subscribe button so that you don't miss another valuable video on how to profit in the stock market. I'm going to do a quick market recap to discuss the slight mistake that we made today. Okay, I always want to be fully transparent about everything. Like I put everything on here about how we take entries, the levels, all of that stuff. And occasionally, I know it's rare, I know it's rare, but occasionally Honey Bunny Sunny loses too. Okay, today I took a trade that did not go well. Okay, we took Palantir, and the crazy thing is that it did work out, but the timing of it was just a little bit off. And we know that in the market, you can't use the excuse of timing. Like that is a very important part of the equation. So I'm going to break down how we took what was a beautiful setup, but it blew up in front of us. And I'm going to show you exactly what went wrong, the lesson from it, and what we plan to do going forward to profit from this same stock to offset that loss. Also, and just for the sake of things, right? Everything on the watch list hit. Okay, so that Sunday watch list that I did, the Nike coin, all of that stuff hit and it worked out, right? Palantir also worked out. Like I said, we just timed it at the wrong time. But if you took the levels on anything else, it worked out. I just want to throw that out there. All right, y'all. So let's get right into it. Okay, we have Palantir pulled up. I'm going to show you why this was such a beautiful setup, and then I'm also going to show you why it didn't work. At the time in which we got in, how it did eventually work for at least 10%. And we also were in the green during this trade, but we never got above about being up 5 to 6%. So, I did want a little bit more out of this play, but it got sucked into a little bit of a consolidation. So if you look here on the 30-minute, you see that we have this failed to up, right? Which is typically a strong reversal. We gapped up in the morning. You see this big gap right here between what is this, 172 down to about, let me pull this down here. It was between 169.50 and about 172, right? So a decent sized gap from from the start of the day, right? We went up, failed the top of the orb, came down, and formed this failed to up on a 30-minute. So typically, that's a pretty good way, especially on the 30-minute time frame, to say, hey, like we're going to go ahead and we're going to start to reverse and come down. And it did do that. So we took entries. I called it in the group. We all took it. It was a little bit of drawdown at first, and then we got into some profit. We were up, like I said, as much as about 6%. And then here's where the mistake came in, guys. Like I said, I always want to be transparent about my mistakes, because sometimes there will be things that I miss or an oversight, right? Don't ever let somebody tell you that they do trading perfect. Like I said, I'm still a 90% trader, right? My win rate is 90%, which is very high according to industry, but there's still times where I may miss something for whatever reason. Today's reason was I did not have my VWAP turned on, right? I have it turned on now. This big pink line right here, that's where it kept bouncing at. And I had an inkling that there was something about that area because it kept bouncing. It was having a problem getting through that area. And then it even slightly went through the VWAP, but it was not enough. And then it bounced and then it went up. At this point around here, I was like, okay, if it gets above this previous candle right here, we're not going to even mess with it anymore. We're going to go ahead and cut it, because that would be about a 10 to 12% loss. And it's not worth it to risk any further drawdown when this particular candle, which is the start of the reversal, was blown up. Okay, so sometimes the market does want to fake you out, but for the point at which we entered and the amount of bouncing that we saw in this area right here, it just did not make sense to me to put money at risk for for people to have a bigger drawdown in like 12%. So I called everybody out to to cut it. It did wind up stalling out, and then it fell back down to a level that did put people back in profit, probably around the same thing, like 5%. But I got out, and I'm pretty sure other people got out because, like I said, it wasn't worth the risk. And when something consolidates this long, it can start to eat away at your contracts, start to disintegrate the money. And, even if it does wind up making a move to where you ultimately thought it would go, then it winds up not being, worth as much because of the intrinsic value of the stock, right? Based off of where you purchased it. So I believe it was a good call to get out of it. It was a beautiful setup. It didn't quite work. But I did want to show you guys where the mistake was on my part. I did have confluence, right? It was, it was a reversal. We got even on a 15-minute, like if you go to the 15-minute, we had the confirmation because we had two of those, right? We got that, and then we got a lower high, lower low right here. So the confirmation was there. But when you flip back to the 30-minute, again, that VWAP was sitting right there. I did not have that cut on, and that was my mistake. I should have went with my first mind when I saw that it was not trying to break below that level, and I should have just called it off right at that point, right? Took the early profits. But you live and you learn. Like I said, even as a teacher, there's going to be moments that I don't get it right, and I want to show y'all that, like, look, you can be a 90% trader, you can be a profitable trader making money, all this stuff, but there will still be times where you call something and it doesn't work out. All right. So I just wanted to show y'all how to break that down. And what I'm also doing, right? Because like I said, you practice what you preach, is I am jotting all of this information down in my notebook. Okay. Do not let a trade go by without you jotting it down. I don't care how good you think you are. Right. Matter of fact, hold on. So when I say be a student, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Filled up with notes. This is what I mean when I say be a student. Take notes, right? Journal your entries, right? This is how you get to mastery level. This is how you get to a point where you understand what's going on, what may be coming around, pattern recognition, all of that stuff, right? It's from this, right? Jot notes down. Never get to a point where you feel like you don't need to be a student, where you don't need to make sure that you are analyzing what you did and writing about it. And, you got to approach the market in a humble way like that. I know it seems counterintuitive. I know it don't seem cool and sexy, right? But I'm telling you, it's so much information in here, right? And when you write it down, it's imprinted in your mind. I wouldn't be telling you this if it didn't work. All right. So don't skip steps. Take notes in your journal, what you did. All right. All right. Yeah. So back to the charts. Like I said, the VWAP. The VWAP is where the mistake lied. I wrote that down. It's noted. I will make sure that when entering, I remember to cut on key indicators. A lot of times I like to keep a clean chart, but I need to cut on indicators, especially if I'm already seeing some sort of bounce. I need to immediately be like, okay, if something is bouncing harder than what it should be after we get the confirmation for the reversal, there has to be a reason. There was a reason, and I didn't locate that reason. All right. So that's the lesson. That's the market recap. I hope this helps you all. If this video was helpful, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Like this to get this out to more people. Drop comments if you guys were in that play or if you have any questions about the stock market at large. And remember, invest smart, live free. I'll see you in the next one. Oh yeah, of course, I cannot leave without inviting you all to the Prosperity Collective. If you do not have a trading home, the Prosperity Collective is the place to be, okay? We grow personally, we grow financially, right? Collectively, that's why we call it the Prosperity Collective. We are on a mission to make money and develop ourselves holistically, okay? So hit that link. It's in every description of all my videos. You can find it. We'd love to have you. I'll see you on the other side.